super brief internet history. Web 1.0 was websites as we still know and love them today, but a bit more sort of basic and clunky back then in the sort of 90s and early noughties. Then we had the dawn of social media. Web 2.0 brought us things like Facebook, Twitter, but also the sharing economy, Airbnb, Uber. That was a sort of massive change in terms of connecting up internet users with each other. Web 3.0, or just Web 3, is now mostly blockchain-based technologies, but it's also a sort of more immersive internet. So the metaverse, I would actually also maybe count AI as being part of this third major iteration of the internet. It's not based on the blockchain, but it's one of the things that's sort of accelerating and affecting this next major generation of the internet. So what is Web3? Like I say, it is this third major iteration. Blockchain, I'm not going to go into the actual nuts and bolts of it because there isn't time, but it's a distributed ledger of data. Essentially, I see it as a spreadsheet owned and run by the people. It's everybody's responsibility to keep that data validated and correct. So rather than data being sort of centralized on, say, Google's servers, it's owned and run by everybody. And that's what is the sort of one of the sort of core tenets of like why any of this exists. It's about this set of technologies on the left is driving or empowering a set of philosophies on the right. So decentralization, but also ownership of your own data, sort of devolving power away from the, whether it's the sort of social media giants, away from governments and big banks, because crypto is a sort of blockchain-based currency. It's digital cash. NFTs, non-fungible tokens, but also what the fuck is fungible? Nobody worry about that fungible part. NFTs are they are our digital belongings. That's how I would see it. They are sort of the official version of something, the official token. It might be a membership to something. So a bit like if you had a digital membership to Soho House, but then you could sell it afterwards on the open market. That's how I see NFTs. So lots of the time it's membership. It might be digital art. I feel like there's new innovations being created every single day. DAOs. Have many of you heard of a DAO? Okay, great. Decentralized Autonomous Organizations. Again, what is with all this jargon? It's like, it's heavy, and actually a DAO could be probably something quite exciting. I see it as a sort of alternative structure to a company. It's a bit like a company without a boss. Everybody is responsible for the decision, like the sort of collective decisions. And you can vote using your tokens. So essentially like NFTs, vote using your tokens, and that's how you govern whatever you're working on together, wherever that shared idea is. And then finally, the metaverse is, I would say the metaverse isn't here yet, but it's a sort of more immersive version of the internet. So it's going to be a mix of things like using VR headsets, but also augmented reality, mixed reality, which is a bit of both, but VR being a sort of layering something digital over the real world. Something I find interesting actually is that Meta, previously known as Facebook, are talking more and more about, rather than, one sort of like selfie mode you can put like filters on, what they're seeing more and more of is people using world-facing filters. So right when you have your phone out, so look at this, that you might be able to sort of then go and collect some kind of digital item that lives within this physical space. And that's something that I find super interesting. So as I say, these technologies are powering this philosophy of giving the ownership of the internet back to the people. Here's a stat that is probably a little bit out of date, but I think still really important. I think it's probably higher than this, but I'm going to guesstimate about 10% of NFT sales have been of work by female artists. We are still so outnumbered in the Web3 space. So as I say, that's why it's so exciting to see so many women here this morning. We are very much in the minority. If you go to any Web3 conference, sometimes the other women you'll see there are making the tea. So this is something this is what I'm passionate about, is changing this, helping women feel they're able to sort of come and succeed in this space. And as I say, you don't need to be technical, you just need the drive to spend time learning about it. And this is why it matters. We are still at the early stages of Web3. There's going to be so much more mainstream adoption. You guys are the early adopters. Like this is something that gets said a lot in Web3, but we are still early. I really think you're going to be talking about this kind of event in a couple of years' time and be like, yeah, I was already getting involved in that stuff when it was really quite clunky, awkward technology, and now everyone uses it. Like my mum uses it. Everyone, has NFTs as like for their insurance policy or membership card or everything. And these are going to be the unicorn businesses tomorrow. They'll be, they'll be worth the billions. And that's why it's important to make Web3 work for women.